The automatic doors at gate 14 slid open with a hiss, and the first thing she saw was the sign, Elena Moretti, private flight. Her stomach dropped. She was not Elena Moretti. She was Sofia Moretti, 29, broke, and clutching a hand-scrawled cardboard replica that now looked like a child's prank. But the man holding the real sign, tall, charcoal suit, eyes the color of winter rain, was already walking toward her, and the word mistake lodged in her throat like a swallowed coin. She had come to the private terminal only because Elena's text had been frantic. Sofia, please, I'm stuck in Milan until tomorrow. Pick up Mr. Valenti. Just hold the sign, smile, and drive him to the hotel. I owe you forever. Forever, Sofia thought, was a currency she could no longer afford. Her own life was a stack of overdue notices and a voicemail from the landlord that she refused to play. So she had borrowed Elena's blazer, printed the logo from the concierge company website, and told herself it was 1 hour, one favor, one lie that would not matter. The man stopped a foot away. Up close, the CEO looked less like the magazine covers and more like someone who hadn't slept in days. A faint bruise of exhaustion shadowed the skin beneath his lashes. You're early, he said, voice low, almost surprised. Sofia's pulse hammered. Run, her brain screamed. Instead, she heard herself answer, traffic was light. She extended a hand that did not shake only because she was gripping the sign so hard the cardboard bent. He took it. His palm was warm, calloused in places money usually erased. Luciano Valenti, he said, as if she might not know. Everyone knew. Valenti Industries. Orphan turned titan. The man who bought islands the way other people bought coffee. She almost said Elena. The lie tasted metallic. Sofia. It slipped out like a confession. He studied her a second longer than courtesy required. Sofia, he repeated, tasting the name. Then he glanced at the sign still clutched in her other hand. A flicker of amusement softened the fatigue. Creative, he murmured. Heat flooded her cheeks. Before she could stammer an explanation, he was already moving toward the exit, expecting her to follow. She did, heels clicking too fast across polished marble, the borrowed blazer suddenly 2 sizes too big. Outside, a black town car idled. The driver hopped out, but Luciano waved him off and opened the back door himself. After you, he said. Sofia slid across cool leather that smelled faintly of cedar and something citrus. He settled beside her, not across, close enough that she caught the same scent on his skin. The partition rose with a soft click. Silence ballooned. She stared at her knees. He stared at her. Finally, you're not from the usual service. It wasn't a question. No, she whispered. Elena couldn't make it? She nodded. And you are? Her sister. The words felt heavier than they should. He leaned back, loosening his tie with one tug. So tonight I'm being kidnapped by the wrong Moretti. A joke, but his eyes held no laughter. Only curiosity, sharp as winter air. I can call you a real car, she offered. He considered. Outside, airport lights streaked across the tinted windows like comets. No, he said at last. Let's see how dangerous you are. The car merged onto the highway. City glow bled into darkness. Sofia's phone buzzed in her pocket, Elena, probably frantic. She silenced it. Luciano noticed. Guilty conscience? Something like that. He smiled, small, tired, real. I have one too. It's been buzzing since Tokyo. He pulled out his own phone, glanced at the screen, and powered it off. The gesture felt intimate, like undressing in front of a stranger. Tell me why you said yes, he said. To picking up a man you've never met, at midnight, in a borrowed blazer. She laughed, a sound that surprised them both. Because my sister asked. Because my electricity bill is 60 days late. Because I thought if I stood still any longer, I'd disappear. The honesty startled her. She waited for him to recoil. Instead he nodded, as if she'd confirmed a theory. I thought if I flew one more private jet alone, I'd forget what my own voice sounded like. They drove through the city's sleeping arteries. He asked where she lived. She named a neighborhood whose rent had doubled since she moved in. She asked why he was in town. He said board meeting, charity gala, the usual cage with better lighting. When she admitted she'd never been inside the Grand Plaza Hotel, he looked genuinely shocked. Tomorrow, he said, you'll see it. Properly. Not through the service entrance. She started to protest. He cut her off gently. One night, Sophia. Let the wrong Moretti show me something real. The car stopped at a traffic light. Across the intersection, a digital billboard flashed his face, Valenti Industries, 10 years younger, eyes already ancient. She glanced from the billboard to the man beside her. He was watching her watch him. Does it ever feel like you're living someone else's life? She asked. Every morning I wake up in a bed I don't remember buying. The light turned green. The car rolled forward, carrying them both toward whatever came after the mistake. At the hotel, the night manager greeted him by name, eyes flicking to Sophia with professional blankness. Luciano's hand brushed the small of her back as they crossed the lobby, an accidental touch that lingered. In the elevator, mirrors on every side multiplied them into infinity, the billionaire and the imposter, shoulder to shoulder. She caught his reflection watching hers. Room 1801, he told the manager. And a second key for my guest. The word hung, undefined. Sophia's heart stuttered. She had not agreed to stay. She had not agreed to anything. Yet when the doors opened on the 18th floor, she stepped out. The suite was larger than her apartment. Moonlight spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, silvering the marble. A bottle of champagne chilled in a silver bucket, untouched. He shrugged off his jacket, rolled his sleeves, and looked suddenly younger. Drink? She shook her head. I should go. He didn't argue. Instead he crossed to the window, hands in his pockets. Below, the city glittered like spilled coins. I used to stand at windows like this when I was 12, he said. Foster home had a fire escape. I'd count lights until I fell asleep. Promised myself one day I'd own every bulb. He turned. Be careful what you promise yourself, Sophia. The bill comes due. She heard the ache beneath the polish. It matched her own. My mother used to say the same about dreams, she said. She died before she could pay hers. Silence pooled, thick with shared ghosts. Then he asked, what do you dream of now? The question was so simple it hurt. I dream of a month where I'm not afraid to open mail. He crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping just short of touching her. Stay, he said. Not for me. For you. One night without fear. I can give you that. She searched his face for the catch. Found only exhaustion and something dangerously like hope. I'm not for sale, she whispered. I know, he said. That's why I'm asking. She stayed. They sat on opposite ends of the sofa, shoes kicked off, talking until the champagne warmed. He told her about the first company he built in a garage with stolen Wi-Fi. She told him about the bakery she wanted to open, the one her mother sketched on napkins before cancer sketched her away. At 3 a.m., he ordered grilled cheese from room service because she mentioned it was her comfort food. They ate on the floor, backs against the sofa, grease spotting 1,000 thread-count sheets. When she yawned, he fetched a spare toothbrush still in plastic. She fell asleep on the couch fully dressed, his suit jacket draped over her like a blanket. He watched her for a long moment, then took the opposite bedroom, door left open in case she needed anything. Morning arrived in watercolor pinks. Sophia woke to the smell of coffee and the sight of Luciano at the window, hair tousled, shirt unbuttoned at the throat. He had not slept. She could tell by the faint tremor in his hands as he poured 2 cups. "I have a confession," he said without turning. "I knew you weren't Elena the second you said your name." She sat up, heart lurching. "Why let me?" "Because for the first time in years, someone looked at me like I was just a man waiting for a ride." He faced her. "I'm tired of being the billboard, Sophia." She stood, barefoot on cool marble. "And I'm tired of being invisible." They were 6 feet apart, a continent of unsaid things between them. Then her phone buzzed on the coffee table. "Elena, again." Sophia answered this time. Her sister's voice spilled out, panicked apologies, questions. Sophia listened, eyes on Luciano. "I'm fine," she said finally. "Tell you everything later." She hung up. The silence that followed was different, charged, waiting. Luciano spoke first. "I have a board meeting at 9. Come with me." She laughed, incredulous. "In yesterday's blazer?" "I'll send someone." "I'm not your." "I know what you're not. Be what you are. Just for today." An hour later, she stood in a boutique whose name she couldn't pronounce, a stylist circling her like a benevolent vulture. Silk dresses floated past on hangers. She chose the simplest, a navy wrap that tied at the waist, sleeves she could roll if she needed to feel like herself. In the mirror, she looked like someone who belonged beside power. The realization terrified her. Luciano waited outside, leaning against the car, sunglasses hiding whatever he felt. When she emerged, he removed them slowly. "You look like the reason meetings get cancelled," he said. She rolled her eyes, but her stomach flipped. The boardroom was glass and steel, 30 floors above the city. Men and women in suits worth her annual salary turned as they entered. Luciano introduced her only as Sophia Moretti, consultant. No further explanation. She felt their curiosity like static. The agenda was a hostile takeover, some startup whose founder had once been Luciano's roommate. Numbers blurred. She watched Luciano's jaw tighten each time the founder's name was mentioned. When the vote came, his hand hovered over the tablet. Sophia leaned close, voice for his ears only. "Count the lights," she whispered. He blinked. Then, to everyone's shock, he abstained. The takeover failed by 1 vote. Afterward, in the elevator, he looked shaken. "I just threw away $200 million. You kept a promise to a 12-year-old on a fire escape," she said. He stared at her as if she'd handed him oxygen. That afternoon, he cancelled the gala. Instead they walked the riverfront, paper cups of gelato melting faster than they could eat. He asked about her mother's recipes, she asked about the foster homes. She told him how Elena had always been the golden child, the one with scholarships and suitors, while Sophia scraped by on community college and night shifts. He told her how success felt like a locked room with no furniture. When the sun dipped, he bought her a single daisy from a street vendor. "Not roses," he said. "Too obvious." She tucked it behind her ear, feeling 17 and ancient at once. Night 2, she went home to her apartment, peeling paint, leaky faucet, the familiar weight of overdue everything. Luciano's driver waited downstairs. She packed a small bag, unsure what she was agreeing to. Back at the hotel, he had cleared the second bedroom, left a bakery catalog on the pillow. Page dog-eared, commercial ovens. Her throat closed. "I can't." "You're not charity," he said. "You're collateral beauty. Let me invest in that." They argued. She cried. He listened without fixing, which felt like love and terrified her more. Days blurred. She shadowed him through meetings, not as arm candy but as a second set of eyes. She caught a discrepancy in a contract that saved millions. He taught her to read a balance sheet. She taught him to make her mother's lemon ricotta cookies. The staff stopped blinking when she used the private elevator. Elena arrived from Milan, furious, then bewildered, then, watching them laugh over burnt sugar, quietly approving. But the clock ticked. His board demanded his return to New York. Her loan shark left a voicemail that made her hands shake. The night before he left, they stood on the hotel balcony, city humming below. "I can't be your kept woman," she said. "I don't want a woman. I want a partner." He pulled a folder from his jacket. Inside, lease papers for a corner storefront, ovens ordered, her name on the LLC. "I'm not buying you," he said. "I'm betting on you. If it fails, it's my loss. If it succeeds, the world gets better cookies." She stared at the papers until they blurred. "And us?" He took her hands. "I fly back tomorrow. Come with me or don't." But no, the Mile High Club was never the fantasy. "Waking up to you arguing about almond extract, that's the one I can't shake." She laughed through tears. "I burn almonds. I have insurance." She did not go to New York. Not yet. She opened the bakery instead, Moretti and Sons, though there were no sons, only daughters and dreams. Luciano attended the ribbon cutting in jeans, holding a tray of misshapen cannoli like a proud parent. The first month, they lost money. The second, they broke even. The third, the line wrapped around the block. He flew in every Friday, no matter the time zone. She met him at the airport with flour on her cheek and a kiss that tasted like home. 1 year later, the private terminal again. This time she held the real sign, Luciano Valenti, my forever flight. He stepped through the doors, same charcoal suit, same winter rain eyes, but the exhaustion was gone. In its place, wonder. She wore the navy wrap dress, Daisy still tucked behind her ear though it was silk now. He dropped his bag and met her halfway. The automatic doors hissed shut behind him, sealing out the world. "Wrong Moretti?" he asked, grinning. "Exactly the right one," she said. And kissed him in front of gate 14, where mistakes become miracles if you're brave enough to walk through the door.